genius, billionaire, like playboy philanthropist. You wouldn't exactly think Enneagram Type 7 when you hear that, right?
Right.
But that's what makes this deep dive so interesting.
Yeah.
We're diving into Tony Stark's personality, and you sent us this YouTube video it's suggesting he's not like the cynical grump we think, but actually a 7.
Yeah.
Specifically, the conservation subtype.
Interesting.
Now, for anyone new to this whole Enneagram thing, it's basically, like 9 personality types, each with its own driving forces and fears. And today we're going dep on if that really fits everyone's favorite middle-clad hero.
Okay.
What I find really intriguing is how this video uses the work of Enneagram expert Claudio Naranjo to back up this whole 7 thing.
Yeah.
Ready to see Tony Stark in a whole new light.
Absolutely. What I think is so fascinating here is how Naranjo differentiates the conservation subtype from other type 7.
Okay.
So they share that classic 7, like love for experiences and dodging pain, right? But conservation 7s, they're more about doing than dreaming. They get their hands dirty, literally.
Yeah.
Like Stark's a prime example.
Right. The guy's like a genius inventor. He's always tinkering in his workshop. He even calls himself a mechanic.
Yeah.
That doesn't exactly scream fear of missing out now, does it?
Exactly. It's more about like creating a secure, enjoyable environment, and not just for themselves, but for their chosen family too, right?
Yeah.
Like think Pepper, Rhodey, Happy Stark's inner circle.
It's like that whole guardian of the castle idea from the video.
Yeah. Stark builds these tech empires. A&D fiercely protects his loved ones. He's not just, chasing fleeting fun. He's building something like lasting, something secure.
And that's a key distinction, I think, that Naranjo makes. Conservation 7s, they crave enjoyment, but it's tied to this tangible creation, to a sense of control over their environment.
And the video really digs into Naranjo's work to support this whole Stark is a 7 theory.
Okay.
Like that, classic Stark line, work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
This isn't just some, quirky motto.
Right.
It reflects that active 7 energy.
Precisely. They're not just about, indulging in pleasure. It's about like actively shaping their world, making things happen. And that drive can sometimes manifest in, less than ideal ways.
Especially early on in Stark's journey.
You're talking about the whole weapons manufacturing thing, right?
Yeah.
The video highlights Stark's cynicism in those early Iron Man days. How he justifies his actions with these almost materialistic arguments.
And that's kind of where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
Because that, aligns with some of Naranjo's observations about this subtype. They have this surprising confrontational side.
Okay.
Especially when, they're carefully crafted world.
Right.
Their territory is threatened.
Okay, now that you mention it, that sounds exactly like Tony Stark. The guy builds weaponized suits to protect himself, his loved ones, and eventually the planet.
Right.
Talk about guardian of the castle taking things to the extreme.
It's this fascinating paradox, right?
Yeah.
They might seem lighthearted on the surface, but there's this steely core underneath.
Yeah.
This willingness to fight for what they value.
So while someone might see Stark's sarcasm and think, hold on, a 7?
Right.
Shouldn't he be, more carefree?
Yeah.
We're seeing that there's a lot more going on beneath the surface.
Exactly. And this is where, understanding the core motivations of a type is so crucial.
Okay.
It's not about outward behavior.
Right.
It's about those deeper fears and desires that drive us.
Right. And for 7s, that core fear is being limited, trapped, or deprived.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So when we look at Stark through that lens,
yeah,
his constant need for innovation, his thirst for new experiences, even his terror of being confined, it all clicks into place.
That scene in Iron Man 3 where he's having a panic attack?
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly it makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
It's not just about being a superhero at that point.
Right.
It's about that deep-seated fear of being controlled, of having his freedom taken away.
And this is where it gets really powerful for, all of us, even if we aren't geniuses in metal suits.
Right.
Because, understanding the Enneagram, it isn't about labeling people. It's about uncovering those hidden motivations that drive our actions and shape our relationships.
So if you're listening and realizing, hey, my partner, my boss, my best friend, they sound kind of 7-ish, this could be a game changer.
Absolutely. Yeah. Imagine realizing that their need for freedom, that maybe sometimes drives you a little crazy, isn't personal.
Yeah.
It's rooted in this, like, deep-seated fear of being stifled.
Talk about shifting your perspective.
Right.
Suddenly, those, like, frustrating moments become opportunities for empathy, for understanding.
Totally.
It's like the video said, we can even learn from, fictional characters.
Exactly. Take Stark's journey.
Okay.
He starts as this, self-centered playboy.
Yeah.
But through, like, confronting his own shadows, through facing those fears,
Yeah.
he becomes a hero, someone who uses his gifts to protect others.
That's a powerful message, right? And that's what this whole deep dive is really about, right? Like finding those aha moments.
Yeah.
Those unexpected connections that kind of make us see ourselves in the world a little differently.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this sparks some ideas for you, our listeners. What other characters have you, like, wondered about?
Yeah.
Whose personality has you totally puzzled? Let us know.
Right.
We might even, like, feature your suggestion in a future deep dive.
We are always up for a good personality puzzle. But before we wrap up this deep dive on Tony Stark,
Okay.
there's one final, like, provocative thought from the video
Okay.
that I think is worth, pondering.
Okay.
The video focuses mainly on Stark's journey to becoming Iron Man.
Right.
That moment he decides to, use his tech for good. It makes you wonder, did his Core 7 motivations actually change?
Right.
Or did becoming a hero simply provide a new, like, more epic outlet for them? So instead of building a secure, enjoyable life just for himself and, like, those closest to him,
Right.
he scales it up to, well, saving the world.
It raises a fascinating question about, like, personal growth in general.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Yeah.
Do we ever fundamentally change our core? Or do we simply find, new, more fulfilling ways to express it?
That's something to chew on, right?
Yeah.
And it honestly makes me want to, like, go back and rewatch those Iron Man movies with fresh eyes to see those 7 tendencies, those fears, those desires, like, playing out on screen.
Yeah. Maybe you'll even feel inspired to, dive into the Enneagram yourself.
Right.
Fair warning.
Yeah.
It can be quite the rabbit hole.
But hey, that's half the fun, right?
Yeah.
Exploring new ideas, challenging our assumptions,
Right.
and maybe even, like, discovering a new layer to ourselves in the process.
Absolutely.
Until next time, thanks for taking this deep dive with us.